EV Revolution show is supported in part by Budget Safe Solar. If you are considering solar in most any part of North America, give my friends a call. They will take the time to listen to your specific situation and help you reach a decision about what's available to you and what makes the most sense. If you would like to join the growing solar industry, they'd like to speak with you. Go to www.budgetsafesolar.com to contact them. All right, hello. Thanks very much for viewing in to this edition of the EV Revolution show. My name is Kenneth Bokor, your host, as you saw, and welcome to this review episode of a 2022 Volvo C40 Recharge Ultimate P8 all-wheel drive. Boy, it's a mouthful to say. These manufacturers got to shorten this stuff. I first want to thank Volvo Canada, of course, for letting me use this press vehicle for a few days to get my impressions and overall thoughts about the Volvo C40 Recharge. Thanks very much for taking the time to tune into this review. Appreciate it. So let me get right into my thoughts. Now, the Volvo C40 Recharge is not their first electric car. Of course, they came out with the XC40 Recharge, which is the ICE version of the XC40, but just all electric. So this is a sibling to it, but what the C40 is different is that it doesn't have an ICE version of the C40. Its only trim and model is an all-electric vehicle. So it is based on the same platform as the XC40, and if you watch that review, and I'll put in the show notes what episode number that was, because I reviewed it last year, very nice car, you'll see a lot of similarities between this and the XC40 because they're the same platform. They're basically the same vehicle with some exterior changes. Now, first of all, these are built in Belgium. They're built in Ghent, which is a beautiful city. I've been there a few times, love it. Shout out to Ghent, of course. And so very high quality manufacturing, and Volvo, of course, is known for their quality and their build solidness of their vehicles throughout the generations, and of course their safety. And this is certainly akin to that lineage and heritage in the C40. Now, as I mentioned, this is based on an internal combustion vehicle platform. It's called their CMA platform. Same platform as the XC40, as I mentioned. Same platform, by the way, as the Polestar 2. So you'll see some similarities, potentially in some of the instrumentation and such, because they share among those platforms. Now, if we look at the design, I really do like the design. This is the sportback version of the XC40, basically, Recharge in the C40. And it really is a fashion statement if you look at it. I've had a few people look at this because it is different from what you kind of see on the market. Maybe similar to the BMW M4, if I have that correct, you know, that kind of crossover style. But it does have some unique features. It's got this raked windshield, of course, a low fast roof line, which is good and bad, because if you're tall, it could be bad on the interior. And of course, it's a hatch, and this sets this apart from its more upright counterpart in the XC40, which is a bit more of a traditional SUV shape with a straighter roof line and then more of a dropping rear windshield. So this has more of that sloping styles. What Volvo has done with this is kind of tweaked it more for the aerodynamic side of things to try to be more efficient. Now, this doesn't have some groundbreaking low drag coefficient of 0.19 or 0.20 or anything. It's up there. I think it's something around the 0.29 or 0.30 range, something like that, which is okay. But they've tweaked it. They've tweaked the front bumper. It's got some different aero and unique headlights features for the fastback design. It's got an air deflector that trails off the roof. Just to kind of make it look better. And it is a sharp looking vehicle. It hides the hinges even in the tailgate to keep them out underneath, and they don't intrude into the interior. There's a lot of little touches that you'd have to really dig to understand. Is this going to make a difference in normal everyday driving? Most likely not, but it looks cool, and I'm glad that Volvo decided to give it some thought. What I would say about this vehicle is it's very competent and it's very functional for what it brings you. Now, all these design tweaks provide about 6% more efficiency than in the XC40 Recharge compact SUV, so that does help and make a bit of a difference. Now, what sets this apart is the tail lights, because they are different. They actually stand out. All these lights here light up, the red strips, which is pretty dramatic. It's got a nice long rear brake light as well here with LED turn signals you'll see in some of the shots here. So the design sequence is pretty cool, and I've had some people look at that, and at night, you know, it has a welcome light up, so when you come up, all these things turn on and welcome you that they're there. But it is different, and you know, it's something that will set this vehicle apart from its sibling in the XC40. Now you will notice that this doesn't have a wiper. Again, a lot of the vendors and OEMs are moving towards that. They feel that the vortexes that are generated by the wind will clear the windshield. Again, it's mid-May now and we're starting to get some up and down weather, but no snow, of course, here in Southern Ontario. So I can't tell you what that's going to be like in the winter, but I'm sure that there are lots of European reviews that could comment on that. But the rear defroster worked well in the rain, one rainy day that I had. So I would assume that they know what they're doing and it will be fine. Now, before I get to the interior, if we talk about some of the specs, this is a twin electric motor. These come only in an all-wheel drive variant, producing about 450 horsepower and 486 pound-feet of torque. It's pretty good. It's good to get 0 to 60 numbers somewhere in the 4.7 range, I believe, which is pretty good for a car of this size, stature, and some weight. Now, it is a shorter, kind of snubby style, but it's still significantly heavy with a 78 kilowatt-hour battery pack that will give you an EPA rated range of 364 kilometers or so, which I think is pretty good considering Volvo is not known for their efficiencies, and I will produce a range chart at the end on my few days that I've had with this vehicle telling you what I've got. I can tell you that it's been pretty accurate in its range predictions. That's what I'm trying to say. So one thing I do like is the OEMs are getting much better at that. It's not so much the guessometer anymore. They're getting pretty good with their range prediction and range analysis, and this is not too far from what it tells you it's going to get, depending on, of course, on your driving habits. Now, charging is CCS combo standard, of course. You have your port here, open it up, you have your, of course, your J1772, and then your fast charging plugs here. Supports up to 150 kilowatts of fast charging, which is pretty decent. That seems to be kind of the medium threshold now for a lot of the newer EVs, and that will give you, according to Volvo, a 10 to 80% rapid charge in about 37 minutes, which is okay. Now, from a cargo perspective, it's got a power trunk, so it also has the foot activated controls that you can use. I've got the seats down. With the second row up, you have about 489 liters or 17.2 cubic feet. With the first row up, as you can see with the rear seats down, so behind the first row, that extends out to 1,205 liters, 42.5 cubic feet as well. Now, there is a frunk for the Volvo, so it's nice to have that, same as the XC40. It's about 21 liters or about 3/4 of a cubic feet. It's not huge, but it's enough to put a charging cable and maybe, you know, it's got a tire repair kit and that kind of stuff in there, so it's pretty handy. pretty easy to deal with, right? Your settings and where your vents are, syncing, all that kind of stuff. Seat heater, seat heaters. This one has both front and rear seat heaters, as well as a steering wheel heater, so nice for the winter. Your setup, it has some ADAS systems here for driving. Again, very, very basic. You've got steering assist if you want a little bit more, if you want the lane assist function happening. When you engage the adaptive cruise, the lane keeping, it has those basic features. It can show you road sign, speed information. The one pedal drive, it's either on or off. So one thing about the regen, it's either no regen, like extremely little with coasting, or if you engage one pedal drive, then you get the full one pedal drive assist. And it's a very smooth system. That's one thing I have to mention. Very easy to manipulate, to feather, and to use. And I found myself instantly using one pedal drive. And you can change the steering wheel if you want a little firmer or a little bit more power assist on there. And that's about it. There's not really a lot of features here. You can set your charging limits. Now, this is a press vehicle, so they're always setting it to 100, but normally you would set it to 90 and that kind of stuff. So not a lot. You can adjust your sound. This has the Harman Kardon system, which is really nice. You've got Wi-Fi connectivity. It does provide some updates over the air. I haven't had to do anything. You can fold the rear headsets if you want to get a little bit more visibility in the back. And if I go into the rear view mirror here, let me see if I can get an angle to show you that here. That works. If you can see the headsets there. So if I go fold, see how they drop down there. So you get a little bit more visibility, which is a cool feature, and then they just flip up easy enough for somebody. Wiper service, all that kind of stuff, mirror. So, you know, not a whole ton of information. It's got some nice ambient lighting that's available here in this topography kind of paneling that's in the vehicles. It really looks nice at night. It's not very bright, even though I have it on high. Welcome lighting, as I mentioned. So it's pretty basic as far as a lot of the systems go. It has what people want, and it gives you that with nice steering wheel control access. Again, very basic stuff. Not much to see on the displays when it comes to the driving stuff. It's either maps or not. Then you have some controls. You have your lights on the stock, and then you have, of course, your wiper blades here on the stock as well. So everything is easy for the passengers to use. You've got your center lights here, and then a nice panoramic roof that goes to the back that is heavily tinted, so it doesn't cause a lot of heat on the vehicle. Again, the only thing I would mention is the visibility. You've got some thick pillars here, as you can see as I pan this camera around, look into the back. So, you know, you do have to be cognizant of some of the blind spots on this. Good amount of storage in the center console here as I move over here. You got your cup holders, got a cubby, got wireless charging down there. You got this flap, I don't know what it does. I think it's a garbage can or something. I think that's what it's supposed to be. That's what it looks like. And then you can take that out and have lots of ample storage here. So pretty nice for the vehicle of this. Again, you should be getting some nice features at this price point, but Volvo's done a good job. All right, so let's go for a quick drive. Just give you my driving thoughts. I've been tuning around the GTA for the last week, put about 350 or so, almost 400 kilometers on this vehicle. If you hear a little bit of noise, that's because I've got my sign in the back and it's metal, so it bumps around. But there's no noise. There's the interior of the vehicle is very, very sound. No squeaks, rattles. I mean, again, Volvo build quality is there. So it's a very comfortable interior. Found it easy to find a seat position and all that good stuff. As I mentioned, the one pedal driving I immediately took to. It's very easy, very reactive to the throttle movement, and it takes really little or to no time to get used to how to feather it, because each system is a little bit differently. This has a nice balance to it. I would say it's just as good as the Hyundai Kia products, just as good as a lot of the others that are out there. There is no, as I mentioned, other regen settings other than either one pedal on or it's off and you get coasting. As I would like the suspension to be just a tad softer for me. That's just my own personal, again, everything is a lot of personal preferences here. But this vehicle is very easy to drive, very easy to maneuver. It's got nice sharp steering. The road noise, it's a pretty quiet vehicle. As I mentioned, if you hear any noise coming, it's banging. It's from my sign, it's in the back here. but otherwise it's a very, very quiet vehicle, very smooth, and that's probably one of the main words I'll use to describe the driving experience. Is it's just very smooth, it's very pleasant. Again, it's functional, it's adequate, it's quiet, it's got lots of power. So one thing about these, the XC40 and the C40, is that they are sleeper vehicles. So if you really want to punch this thing and take away from a light with somebody, this will do it with the amount of torque and horsepower that it has. That's instant all-wheel drive. Overall, a very good package, so definitely enjoy the driving experience in the Volvo C40 Recharge. All right, so I'll show you what the adaptive cruise control, the lane keeping does, more so the lane keeping. So I put that on and then set my speed here. All right, so as you can see, it does activate. I thought it turns green. It does tell you to hold the steering wheel and then it'll go off. So you've got that symbol where the hand is grabbing the wheel. I'm not touching the wheel at this point. I've just got the adaptive cruise lane and the lane keeping on. As you can see, it holds the lane fairly well. It does kind of ask you every 5 to 10 seconds to grab that steering wheel and do what you need to do, but you know, it works. It keeps it centered in the lane quite nicely. I wouldn't use this in the city. It will provide stop and go. It will stop to a vehicle in front of you. It doesn't recognize stop signs, so I need to disengage it and use the braking and the regen here to stop. But it would, if there's a car in front of me, it would recognize that and it would come to a stop, and when the car moves, it will go again. Now let's get to some of the pricing. One thing about the Volvos is they're not inexpensive cars. They are a luxury brand, and this is no different. Again, this only comes in the all-wheel drive package right now in Canada, and it comes in a couple different trim levels. This trim level comes in at $72,600 MSRP. That does not qualify for any of the rebates, and of course your freight, PDI, and taxes and all that good stuff are on top of that. And this trim package seems to be it in the Recharge Twin, as it's called. Now you can add leather and some other options there to bump the price up, but I found that the cloth seats here, as I mentioned, are very comfortable, and it's a very nicely equipped package. Now for those who like to tow, you can tow up to 1,800 kilograms or just under 4,000 pounds with this rating, with the right hitch and everything mounted correctly. All right, so in summary, this is a very capable, competent, and functional vehicle. Those are probably the best words that I could describe, and that really is describing Volvos, right? They are, you know, what you see is what you get. They're very solidly built. There's a lot of function and form that goes into their vehicles. They've happened to kick up the design notch a bit because it is a nice looking machine. This is a beautiful color that they offer here. Get a lot of head turns on this. Nice light package and sort. So it's a very competent vehicle. Does it have all the bells and whistles and a lot of the other tech that some of the other guys like the Ioniq 5, EV6, even Model 3, Model Y, and those kind of vehicles? No, GV60, no, it doesn't. This is going to compete with that Model Ys, the GV60s, even their own XC40 Recharge, the SUV it'll compete with. Even the VinFast VF8 now that's be coming out, or VF7 when that comes out. So there's a lot more competition in this class. For people that like Volvo, that like the design and like the name and the brand, it's a great vehicle. Certainly a strong recommendation for me, just like the XC40 was. Easy to maneuver, easy to park, so definitely is a recommendation. I think my only negative on this, as I mentioned, is the C-pillars are a little bit constrictive in some of the visibility. That smaller rectangular rear window cuts down on a little bit on the visibility from the rear, but you do have big side mirrors that make up for that. And probably the price. I think 400 kilometers of range that I'm getting in these temperatures is really good. And it seems to be sticking pretty close to that, so the range prediction and the analysis is good. It's a very comfortable. I'd like the suspension personally to be a little softer than it is for me, but it's fine. It's a good suspension package. big 20-inch tires, so you have a pretty decent ride. Because of the shorter wheelbase on this vehicle, you get a little bit of hopping on some of the bumps sometimes. It doesn't take you off the road at all. It just, you feel it a little bit in the interior because of that. But it's a well-equipped, good for 4 adults, 5 in a pinch vehicle. So certainly a strong recommendation. So that's it for this edition of the EV Revolution Show. Thanks very much for tuning in. Hope you enjoyed on this 2022 Volvo C40 Recharge P8 all-wheel drive. I think I missed something in there. Very capable car, lovely car. Again, I want to thank Volvo Canada for letting me the use of this press vehicle. And thank you very much for watching on YouTube. I appreciate it. If you haven't subscribed, please do. If you're interested in helping me out on Patreon, you can see the link below. I'm always humbled and want to give thanks to my Patreon supporters. And of course, keep your eyes and ears out, watching and listening to the EV marketplace. There's so much going on. Just can't keep up with all the news. It's certainly exciting times. And everybody stay safe. And until the next episode, until I see you again, everybody take care. And I will see you when I see you. Bye-bye.